The days that followed were wrapped in a heavy, suffocating silence. Lynn found herself in a constant loop, her thumb endlessly refreshing the screen of her phone, her heart sinking with each passing moment that brought no new message. Nothing. Not a single word from Min. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth, or at least from her small corner of it. Min, on his part, had become a ghost in his own life. He meticulously avoided the familiar cafes, the park they used to walk through, the quiet street where they shared their first laugh. Each corner held a memory, and each memory was a fresh wound. The city that once felt like theirs now felt like a minefield of nostalgia. Sleep became a luxury Lynn could no longer afford. The nights were the worst, stretching into an eternity of staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying every conversation, every shared glance, every unspoken word. She would dissect their last moments together, searching for a clue, a reason, a sign she might have missed. But the more she searched, the more lost she became in the labyrinth of what-ifs. Meanwhile, Min found his solace at the bottom of a bottle. Alone in his apartment, with only the hum of the refrigerator for company, he would drink. Not for the taste, but for the blessed numbness that would eventually creep in, dulling the sharp edges of his regret and longing. The alcohol was a temporary anesthetic for a chronic ache in his soul. Anne, with her keen eye for the subtleties of the heart, noticed the change in Lynn immediately. The light in her friend's eyes had dimmed, replaced by a permanent shadow of sorrow. One evening, as they sat together, the silence between them became too heavy for Anne to bear. "What's wrong, Lynn?" she asked gently, her voice full of concern. The simple question was a key, unlocking the floodgates of Lynn's pent-up emotions. With tears streaming down her face, Lynn confessed everything. She told Anne about Min, about the unspoken feelings that had festered between them, about the suffocating weight of her engagement to Wee. Anne listened patiently, her presence a comforting anchor in Lynn's storm. "You have to be honest," Anne urged, her voice firm but kind. "It's honest with Wee, and most importantly, honest with yourself. You can't live a lie, Lynn. It will eat you alive." Lynn knew Anne was right, but the thought of causing Wee pain, of dismantling the life they had planned, filled her with a paralyzing fear. She hesitated, trapped between the loyalty she felt for Wee and the undeniable pull of her heart towards Min, in his lonely apartment. Min scrolled through his phone, his fingers hovering over the conversation thread with Lynn. He reread their old messages, bittersweet journey back in time. He saw their jokes, their late-night confessions, the easy intimacy that had grown between them. A part of him wanted to delete it all, to erase the evidence of what he had lost. But he couldn't. Each word was a precious artifact, a piece of a story he wasn't ready to let go of. The memories flooded back, vivid and painful, her laugh echoing in his ears, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the scent of her hair. It was a beautiful, agonizing torture. Lynn, too, was drowning in memories. She began writing letters to Min, pouring her soul onto the pages. She wrote about her confusion, her regret, her deep, unwavering love for him. The letters were her sanctuary, the only place she could be completely honest. But they remained unsent, a stack of sealed envelopes hidden in a drawer, testaments to a courage she hadn't yet found. The distance Lynn had placed between herself and Wee did not go unnoticed. Wee wasn't oblivious. He could feel her slipping away. The easy laughter they once shared was gone, replaced by a strained quiet. The warmth in her touch had cooled. He saw the sadness in her eyes, the way she would stare into space, lost in a world he wasn't a part of. Finally, he couldn't ignore it any longer. "Lynn," he said one evening, his voice gentle but firm, "we need to talk. You haven't been yourself for weeks. What's going on? Is it someone else?" The question hung in the air, heavy and fragile. Looking into his kind, concerned eyes, Lynn knew she couldn't lie anymore. The truth spilled out, raw and painful, about the feelings she had tried so hard to suppress. She cried not just for her own broken heart, but for the heart she was breaking in front of her. We listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When she finished, a long moment passed. Then he reached out and took her hand. "I see," he said, his voice thick with an emotion she couldn't quite name. It wasn't anger, but a deep, profound sadness. I love you, Lynn, and because I love you, die. I can't hold you to a promise your heart can't keep. He let go of her hand, and in that simple gesture, he let her go. A wave of both immense relief and sharp, stabbing pain washed over Lynn. She was free, but the freedom was tainted with the guilt of hurting a good man. The chapter with Wee was over, and the finality of it was staggering. That same night, Min dreamt of Lynn. In the dream, they were back in the park. The sun was warm, and she was laughing. He reached for her, but his hand passed right through her, like she was smoke. He woke up with a gasp, his heart pounding in his chest. The emptiness of his apartment felt more acute than ever before. It was utterly, completely alone. The dream, the silence, the pain had all coalesced into a single point of clarity for Lynn. Anne was right. She had to act. She couldn't live in this limbo of what-ifs any longer. Fueled by a desperate resolve, she got in her car and drove to Min's apartment. She didn't have a plan. She only knew she had to see him. But when she arrived, his apartment was dark. His car was gone. He wasn't home. A knot of disappointment tightened in her stomach, but she didn't leave. She would wait. As if on cue, the sky opened up, and a cold, relentless rain began to fall. Lynn stood on the pavement, pulling her jacket tighter around her, refusing to take shelter. The rain was a physical manifestation of her inner turmoil, washing over her, soaking her to the bone. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. The streetlights cast long, shimmering reflections on the wet asphalt. She was shivering, her teeth chattering, but she didn't move. This was her penance, her vigil. She had to see this through. Finally, late into the night, a pair of headlights cut through the downpour. Min's car pulled up to the curb. He got out, his shoulders slumped with exhaustion, and then he froze. He saw her, a figure, drenched and trembling, standing in the pouring rain outside his home. It was Lynn. For a moment that stretched into an eternity, they just stared at each other. Shock, disbelief, hope, and a world of unspoken emotions collided in that single, silent gaze. The only sound was the relentless drumming of the rain on the pavement, a chaotic soundtrack to the storm brewing between them. Lynn's expression was one of fierce determination. She had come this far. She wasn't turning back now. Min, on the other hand, looked utterly conflicted, his face a canvas of pain and longing. He was a man caught between his past and a future he never thought possible. Slowly, deliberately, Lynn took a step towards him, and then another. Didn't move. He didn't back away. He didn't stop her. She was close enough now to see the rain dripping from his hair, to see the tremor in his hands that matched her own. They were both trembling, not just from the cold, but from the sheer, overwhelming weight of the moment. The air was thick with words held back, with years of feelings left unsaid. It was all there, hanging between them, fragile and explosive. This was it, the precipice. It's the point of no return. Everything they had ever been, and everything they could ever be, hinged on what happened next.